My name is Queen, and I am a recovering leader. I go to Vanderbilt. In fact, this is my final year here, and so I am processing 3 years' worth of all I've learned and observed about what drives students on this campus, what motivates us, what breaks us. And so far, for the most part, I've learned that there's usually one element involved. You see, at colleges across America, campuses struggle with a variety of drugs: alcohol, marijuana, alcohol, tobacco, alcohol. And you know, Vanderbilt is not immune to any of these drugs at all. But I would venture to say that Vanderbilt's most pervasive drug is leadership. Leadership positions, involvement, titles that you can put underneath your name in your email signature. In my time here, I've discovered this fascinating phenomenon called the email signature. It holds all the hats that you wear on campus, and it makes you look extremely official, which is what I guess you need to feel as a young adult. Now, for actual adults and professionals, I'd argue that the email signature is necessary, right? I mean, you're making real money, real decisions. But the signature is a curious thing to have for a college student. I mean, we don't really have that much responsibility yet. And as for me, I encountered my very first email signature as a freshman here. And I immediately knew that I had to have one. Because I wanted and needed to be taken seriously. So at my highest point of leadership involvement, which included 2 positions, this is what my email signature looked like. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I thought I was slacking. I mean, my peers had upwards of 4, 5, even 6 leadership positions. They could point to all these different places on campus and say that they were in charge. And isn't that what you want? To be able to say that you are in charge? To have all these tangible examples of your involvement and your impact? And here at Vanderbilt University, we give you over 850 opportunities for your involvement and your impact. Now, someone could look at that fact and praise Vanderbilt because it's made available every conceivable option for every kind of student. Someone else, someone like me, could look at that fact and side-eye this institution because of its crazy, ridiculous involvement culture. Some of our newest and youngest students have already engaged this kind of behavior in high school. According to our admission stats, 100% of Vanderbilt's class of 2020 either earned significant honors and or held leadership positions while in high school. 100%. So we groomed ourselves before we even got here. And leading comes naturally to us as Vanderbilt students, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that when we have such an early comfort level with this kind of involvement, it encourages us to replicate this behavior in college, where there's way more pressure and way more stress than in high school, and thus way higher stakes for managing our self-worth and our identity. So, what does all of that have to do with an email signature? I got you. I believe that what we choose to include in our email signatures demonstrates what we hold important and how we want and need others to see us. Because let's get real. what are we really saying about the depth of our investment in this campus when we have, what, 9 leadership positions in our signature? And no, I'm not saying that this is the case for every hyper-involved student here. I mean, some of us might just really enjoy being passionate about many different things. And so we invest our time and effort in many different things. And that's fine. Noble, even. But for those of us who lead for the sake of leading, who lead according to some career trajectory on a spreadsheet you made freshman year, who lead on some campus conveyor belt. If I get this, and I'll get this, and I'll be put here, so I'll get this. I would really encourage us to take a step back and examine our motivations for leading. Because leadership is service. It is sacrifice. It is a passionate commitment done in excellence. And you can't do 15 things at once in excellence. And that's why leadership is also an intentional decision. You choose things that speak to you. And so automatically and naturally and unthinkingly, you pour your heart and your soul into these things, not your email signature. So what is our posture towards leading in our organizations? Is it passionate and purposeful? Or is it passive and resume grooming? Because if it looks like the latter, not only are we being unfair to those who work with us because we're not giving our all or respecting their sacrifice, but we are also being really unfair to ourselves because our mental, emotional, and our physical health suffers when we spread ourselves way too thin. So placing our self-worth and our identities in titles is not only exhausting, it's dangerous because it speaks to something deeply ingrained inside of us, that we are not enough, that we are not qualified, that we are not capable. I argue this because I believe it about myself. For as long as I could remember, I have struggled with a voice inside of me that tells me that I am bound to fail, that I'm not a good enough reader, writer, researcher, student, that I don't love my friends well enough, so they don't love me back, and that my parents are not proud of me, and that they never will be. My junior year here, I held 2 major leadership positions. I was an editor of our campus newspaper, and I was vice president of our African student group, and I planned our annual cultural showcase. Both positions required a lot of legwork, a lot of collaboration, and a lot of mental and creative energy over the course of a school year. I was responsible for columnists and show participants, many of whom missed meetings, ignored emails, and didn't show up when they said that they would. This chronic inaction from my peers really broke me in a lot of ways because I gave everything that I had to these things. So my name was on this newspaper, and my name was on this showcase. So my identity was tied up in them. And so whenever I felt attacked by any kind of inaction, I took it as a direct attack on my self-worth and my identity. And so yes, my peers' behavior wasn't always the best of the best, and their commitment wasn't always in there. But I don't think that I would have been as personally affected if I hadn't tied the success of these involvements to what I believed about myself and what I wanted and needed others to believe about me. So yes, I am a recovering leader. And there was a time when I couldn't see myself as separate from the organizations that I led. And now I see so many of my peers struggling with this same belief, stacking up resumes and email signatures in an attempt to feel whole, worthy, and enough. In my final year here at Vanderbilt, I have elected not to lead any organizations. I am enjoying campus life as a private citizen. And here is what my email signature looks like now. Every morning when I wake up and I don't have to send off 50 emails or lead a meeting, I still have to tell myself, I'm enough. You're enough. I'm enough. I don't need formal leadership to make me a whole student or person. I would strongly encourage my peers and my friends to start believing the same. You don't need 4, 5, or 6 leadership positions to be a legitimate student here. You don't need a paragraph-long email signature to be taken seriously. You are creative. You are intelligent. You are worthy. And you're enough. You're enough. I think that with this kind of thinking, that we can really start to change the culture of leadership here at Vanderbilt. We can choose to exclusively pursue involvement that gives us passion and purpose. We can choose to give ourselves a permission to let go of obligations and commitments that join us of our joy and our vibrancy and displace our true identities. And we can choose to start to believe the best about ourselves and ignore those voices that tell us that we are unworthy and that we need titles and involvement to make us feel better. And then finally, we can really choose to edit our email signatures because they are really long. Really long. Your readers need a break. You need a break. Give yourselves a break. That's my idea worth sharing. Thank you.